The collapse of Silicon Valley Bank, SVB, on March 10 led to a record drop in deposits at small U.S. banks, according to data released by the Federal Reserve. Deposits at small banks fell by $119 billion to $5.46 trillion in the week ended March 15, which was more than twice the previous record drop and the biggest decline as a percentage of overall deposits since March 16, 2007. The drop in deposits at small banks was likely due to depositors pulling out their money in the wake of SVB's collapse, which created a run on the bank. In contrast, deposits at large U.S. banks rose by $67 billion in the same week, bringing the total to $10.74 trillion. This reversal in the trend for large banks was notable, as overall U.S. bank deposits have been in decline after sharply rising in the wake of pandemic aid in 2020 and early 2021. The rise in deposits at large banks suggests that some of the cash may have gone into money market funds or other instruments. However, large banks also increased their borrowings in the week by $251 billion, while borrowings at small banks increased by $253 billion to a record $669.6 billion. This increase in borrowing suggests that small banks were building war chests as a precautionary measure in case depositors asked to redeem their money. As a result, small banks had $97 billion more in cash on hand at the end of the week. It is unclear if the shift in deposits out of small banks will persist. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said on Wednesday that deposit flows in the banking system have stabilized over the last week, but it remains to be seen if small banks will be able to recover from the loss of deposits. The collapse of SVB highlights the vulnerability of small banks in the U.S. and the potential for runs on banks to create a domino effect throughout the financial system. The collapse of SVB was likely due to a combination of factors, including poor risk management, over-reliance on a single business line, in this case, lending to startups in the tech industry, and the impact of the pandemic on the economy. SVB was a niche bank that had built its business model around serving the needs of the tech industry, but the pandemic had a severe impact on the startup ecosystem and the bank's clients. This led to an increase in defaults and delinquencies, which put pressure on SVB's balance sheet. The collapse of SVB is a reminder that even well-managed banks can be vulnerable to systemic risks. While the U.S. banking system is generally considered to be stable and well-regulated, there are always risks that can destabilize the system. The Federal Reserve plays a critical role in managing these risks, but it is ultimately up to individual banks to manage their risks and ensure that they are able to weather any storms that come their way. In conclusion, the record drop in deposits at small U.S. banks following the collapse of SVB highlights the vulnerability of small banks in the U.S. and the potential for runs on banks to create a domino effect throughout the financial system. While the Federal Reserve plays a critical role in managing systemic risks, it is ultimately up to individual banks to manage their risks and ensure that they are able to weather any storms that come their way. The collapse of SVB serves as a reminder that even well-managed banks can be vulnerable to systemic risks, and that the U.S. banking system is not immune to the impact of external shocks. Bankworld News. There are many followers who rely on content to stay informed and make informed decisions about their financial future. From breaking news to expert interviews and in-depth analysis, this channel provides its viewers with everything they need to stay abreast of the latest trends and developments in the world of business. With a commitment to accuracy and impartiality, Bankworld News, it has become a resource for anyone who wants to stay informed about the latest developments in the world of business and finance. Whether you're an entrepreneur, an investor, or just someone who wants to stay informed, Bankworld News is the YouTube channel for you. Don't forget to press follow, like, share and support monthly members to receive updates before anyone else. Thank you. Bank of America. Money. Bank. Silicon Valley Bank. World. News. Breaking news. World news.